Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to another broadcast of Pitch Deck 101. Today, with me in the studio is no other than Jones. She is a mastermind, and I'll tell you a mastermind for what shortly. But this program comes to you with the kind compliments of Pitch Deck 101. And I'm just want to tell you very briefly about Pitch Deck 101. Global Capital Inc. and 10X Branded and Marketing LLC out of New York, they have started this brand, Pitch Deck 101. And the key focus in starting this brand is to really help businesses to access capital and to help businesses to mitigate that debt process. It's to help businesses to access new markets and significantly increase their business potential to cash flow and so much more. But to learn more about what we do at pitchdeck101.org, I want to encourage you to go to that website, pitchdeck101.org, to learn more about what we do. Now, with me in the studio is a mastermind, as I said early on, and her name is Joan. She's the brain behind Expand Life Mastery. Now, what exactly is Expand Life Mastery? It's a very unique brand from the perspective that this particular brand really helps you to expand your life and to master your life. And the subject matter here today for or the brain behind Expand Life Mastery is no other than John. John, I must say it's a tremendous pleasure having you here. I know we have been doing a lot of talking for the last few months. I know that you are a Guyanese, but have lived in the UK for almost of your life, and you are now expanding into the United States of America. And I'm happy to say that we are working alongside you to help you with that expansion. Um, and I'm excited about that. But tell us a little bit about the vision behind Expand Life Mastery. Tell us, tell us your story.
Oh, thank you so much, Gary, for this opportunity to speak about Expand Life Mastery, and also for your support along the way. It has been tremendous, and it has helped me to be here at this point where I can speak about what Expand Life Mastery is about.
Our pleasure.
Um, so, as it says, Expand Life Mastery. You can take it many ways. You can say you expand your life, but also it's about being the master of your life. That's really what it's about, being the master of your life. Expand Life Mastery is about helping or supporting or guiding or mentoring, whichever it is that you perceive it to be, individuals, organizations, whatever it is that's require um, steps towards ultimately, I would say self love. Ultimately, self love. But there are steps to get there. I mean, I myself had not been aware of it. You know, I thought, well, it's normal that when you love yourself, people love you. And I also thought, well, loving yourself is about being good and not allowing anything bad to happen to you, what we call bad. But loving yourself goes beyond the good and the bad. So I would like to say that
I,
expand
I really love
life.
that.
Mhm.
I really
Okay.
love what you're saying from the perspective that I love what you said in terms of it's about loving yourself. And I do believe that many of us, whether we want to accept it or not, whether we believe it or not, I think that we negate self. And I think it is by, in that negate of self love, self awareness, it truly undermines us activating our super self, living from our super self, and possibly transforming lives around us from that super self. And I mentioned the super self because I know you're going to come to that just now. Um, I've worked with you for some time on this particular brand, and I know that this particular brand has a key focus on helping that individual to truly connect with their inner beauty. I know that it's truly built out to help the individual to connect with self confidence, self, application, and it is grounded in all of this, which I think is essential. Because the way that I look at it, if you want to be a leader, it begins with you finding yourself. It begins with you living your best life for you to now be able to transfer that body of knowledge to people around you. So I do believe it's a brand that is necessary because we are seeing that, in corporate universe, many persons are so driven to cash flow maximize that the focus on self nurturing, self pampering, self love, your word, there's not a whole lot of time for that until a worst case scenario presents itself, where because you have neglected to give yourself some self-care and self love, you now it cross over to chronic illnesses, it cross over to spousal problems, it cross over to all of these different things. So I know that your expand life mastery, it's designed to capture these elements of life and really help people to put it into the right perspective. But I know that we have talked a lot about the super self, and I would love for you to give us your definition of what that super self is all about. I want to hear your perspective on what this is. And I do believe it's a unique concept, but it's your area of strength. So talk to us about the super self. Hi, Joe. And for some reason, I'm not getting your audio.
Thank- Thanks for that question, Gary. So, from my perspective, the super self, I call it the super self. As a matter of fact, it's a brilliant self, it's an amazing self, it's beyond. What does that mean? Who we are, all of us are. We are physical beings because we have a physical body. That is evidence that we're physical. We also have a mind, which means we have a mental body. In other words, our mind, we think, thoughts come through our mind. Yeah, we do have a mind. So we can say we have a mental body, as well as we have an emotional body, meaning we have feelings, feeling anxious, feeling sad, feeling joy, feeling angry, feeling whatever it is that we feel. We have that body as well. All of that contained within our physical. But there's something else beyond that. We have a spiritual body. And that is the part of us that holds everything together, holds the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual. Meaning, that is the side of us that is beyond just physical. And it is not so airy fairy. It is, you can see it is real because sometimes we're feel for others. Yeah, why do we feel for another person? Why do we see talk about that? Why does it matter to us? It's because the connection is there. There's so many evidence to show that there is a non-physical connection. Why, when is it that we move from one place, from our home, to go to the shopping center? Some things happen along the way. Physically, we weren't aware that those things would be happening, but they just happen. Events happen along the way, whether they be events that we like or events that we don't like. We cannot control those things. So they are non-physical. And this is just a small um, example of our non-physical side. So therefore, with that, we have to acknowledge, or we can choose to, we don't have to, because a lot of us are living not acknowledging that non physical side of us. And when we don't acknowledge that non physical side of us, then we stay in a limited way of living. We say, no, this is my life. I am living in this home and I believe what I believe. And this has been my life from day one to the way how it is now. I don't want to know anymore. Why? Because we choose to not go beyond our physical. Now, expand life mastery. Note the word expand is to expand into the non physical. Expand. For example, you might want to be a hairdresser. You might choose to be a hairdresser. And then, but some part of you want something more because being the hairdresser is not fulfilling to you, and you also want to explore more. You want to explore more. To explore more is to expand more of who you are, to discover. So when you expand, we discover more of the non physical, more of the limitlessness that we are, more of the
Okay, so
ideas that we thought we are only this, and then we discover that we are more than that. A lot of us,
got you,
from the day
got
we were
you.
born to who we are now, would have grown tremendously, expanded mentally, because we discovered
Yeah,
so much more about ourselves based on where we came from. We at that point in time thought this could never happen to me. But yes, it has. Whether it be something that we want or whether it's something that we don't want, it has happened. In other words, we have grown, we have expanded. And what is it that expands? It's not all physical, it is our awareness of that non physical. And when we do that, then we become more appreciative of who it is that we are. The benefit of expanding and growing, that self, which is the physical, the mental, emotional, and the non physical, that super self, is that we
I got
discover who we are. We're not only physical, we're not only human, but spiritual. That's it. Thank you.
awesome. So, what I'm getting here is
Did you hear
that,
that?
and I love this because what your platform is teaching people is to not allow their limited
Okay, I just
experiences.
want to add some. I just want to add something else as well. And The more we know about our non-physical, our self, which is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, the more we include all of that, is the more love we include as well to ourselves and appreciation. So, hence,
Okay.
loving
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
May I continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, what I'm taking away from everything that you would have said is that one of the objective of your platform is to get people to remove themselves from negative belief,
Can't
from
hear you, Gary.
limiting belief. All right. Are you getting me clear now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can hear me, but I can hear you.
Awesome. Good. So, some of the key takeaway that
Yes.
I have
Well,
gained
it's to
from what you would have said.
well,
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
yes. Um, the in, the intention or the choice is to encourage from the limited perspective, not only to stay there, but to come out of the limits so that we can experience more of who it is that we are. Who is it? Who are you? The super self. Find out what the super self is. Who are you? Are you only someone who wake up in the morning and go out and work and have children and family and is
Hi.
that all?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So are you someone who will allow yourself to experience life? That is the whole point. And I know I have limited myself in certain areas of my life so as to keep a particular way of being. In other words, to believe a certain way. And I have to, if I believe myself to be a certain way, then it means I have to keep that belief up and only limit myself or control my life in a particular way. But if we were to allow life to be and allow the opportunities that come to us to embrace those opportunities, it gives us those opportunities. When we embrace them, it gives us more opportunity to love ourselves. Now, and you mentioned earlier about self-neglect. Self-neglect is important, is also a point because when we put a barrier up from the opportunities that come our way, we say, no, that's not me, no, that's not me, no, that's not me. When instead of allowing ourselves to experience, because we do not know where that's going to take us. So, therefore, we stop our growth. We also stop the love for ourselves. We stop the self discovery. And so we feel frustrated with life. Sometimes we feel, oh, is this all that life has to offer? Oh, I'm bored, I'm fed up. These are all things that happen as a result of not loving ourselves and also neglecting self. When we neglect ourselves, we put barriers up. We are saying, no, we don't really know that we're neglecting ourselves sometimes. But
Got
it
you.
is important to know that. It is important to know that you are neglecting yourself when you are not allowing yourself to grow. And that's what I want to make on that. But there are ways out of it. There are ways that you can, there are things that you can do to help yourself with that. Shall I continue with that, Gary?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to do a follow up question. I mean, how does one connect with this self? Is there particular habits that you would recommend? I just love the topic. I mean, to connect with your super self, to me, it's an awesome thing to want to connect with, because it means that you can achieve more, perhaps faster. You know, you can expand. Uh, but how does one build a healthy relationship with that super self? What
Okay. Thank
habits
you
are
so
you?
much, Gary.
Yeah,
Thanks for the question again. So, you asked how to question. Well, for me, and others can also use the same strategy if they choose, what I discover is about self appreciation. Start from where you are at. Start
okay.
from where you are at. Wherever you are at in life, it is good enough. You don't have to be at a special place. You are already there. And it's about appreciating what you see about you, appreciating the fact that you might be, you probably judge yourself and see yourself as someone who is not good enough. Let's say if that is how you think about yourself. So you judge yourself and you say, oh, I'm not good enough to do this, or I would never be able to achieve this, or I will, I don't like this. Okay, appreciate that fact that you are doing that right now. Appreciate that you are seeing yourself like that. Appreciate that you are that you have seen yourself putting yourself down. Appreciate yourself, and that is the way in to discovery of self, because self is not a specific. Self is everything, everything inclusive. Nothing is outside of self. Meaning, if you were to say to somebody, I don't like you, for example, appreciate yourself for saying that. It is not outside of self, it is something that you have observed about yourself. So appreciate you for saying that and appreciate yourself for being that way. Now, if you want to change that, then you can choose to change the way how you see it. But first and foremost, before anything, is about appreciating what you see without saying it was wrong for you
Judgment.
to tell the other. Exactly, without that, because that is what is going to take you into discovering you. It's about discovering. So appreciation is the key.
I know
And
what you're saying is very,
also,
mhm,
mhm,
but I'm loving
another
it.
key, all right, thank
Go
you.
on, it's all to you.
Another key why appreciating what you see is because is to allow what you see to be. Allow what you have discovered yourself about,
Hmm.
what you've discovered to be. You cannot throw it one side or say, no, I dismiss you, or I know some people say I rebuke you, and some people say, oh, that's not me. It is you. It may not look elegant like you want it to be, but it is you. And when we appreciate,
Okay,
that helps
I
too.
got you. You're the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Exactly. If you choose to see yourself that way, if individuals,
I got you. All right. I know it's a deep. Today I'm not. We're not going to go deep. I just want to at least, use this platform for you to get yourself out there. And over a period of time, we'll take it step by step, and we'll go deeper into each of the subject areas. And I know that your scope of focus is broad. I know you're bringing out the new book. I know that you're started to do some master classes. I know you're beginning now to make some impact. We're going to go into all of that later on. The last question I want to ask you today, Joan, is how does one live from that super self? Um, to me, once I discover that connecting with the super self is all about me flowing from that sense of self that says that there's no limitation except the limitation that I put on myself. So now that I'm aware that you know, within me I have the potential to achieve greatness once I believe it and I take the kind of action, connect with the right kind of people to make these things happen. That tells me a different story because I think very often we sit and we wait and we think that the fairy tale godfather, the fairy tale godmother is right around the corner and she's coming to make great things. He or she is coming to make great things happen, not knowing that you have it within you to become the author and maker of your destiny. And what you're talking about in your own words is that you have the power to take your life in your hands and shape it. So whether you want to make a breakthrough in real estate, or whether you want to make a breakthrough in financial leadership, or you want to make a breakthrough in business, you should take ownership of all of that and say, "This is what I want to do." And today I'm going to start writing in my new book. I'm going to write page by page, chapter by chapter, and ultimately, charted the course of the life that I want to have. That's in essence in what you were saying.
yeah.
But how does one begins to live that life? Live from that super self. And I want to emphasize super self because we all can agree that we all have that super self in us. And to break it down just a little bit more, the super self that I'm quite certain that you're talking about is about the Warren Buffett. I mean, he has achieved so much because he have connected with his super self. The Elon Musk, he has accomplished and continued to break so much more barriers because he has connected with his super self. The Tony Robbins, they have achieved so much because they have connected with their super self. Manny Finance, who I know you're working very close with, um, all of these guys have connected with their super self that allow them to have achieved so much. But how do you see we can people can really connect, flow, embrace, live from that super self with all the distraction in the world that is saying to you that you are lack and your limitation, your doubts and your fear, and you can never amount to nothing. How can people cut through all of that those clutter and really say that I love me, I embrace me. I'm not defined by the public perception of who I am, but I'm defined by that super self. Talk to me, John.
Okay, thanks again, Gary. And yes,
You're
mention
welcome.
Manny Fernandez. I appreciate because I am, in our mindset club and we talk a lot about these things too, thanks
Yeah,
to Manny
I
as
know
well.
you're an ambassador with
So,
him. Yeah. Hmm. And he's a Silicon Valley investor, right?
angel investor, yes, yes, he is.
Angel investor. Yes.
And he also has a platform that helps individuals to learn about growing and expanding themselves. So the question you ask is, how can you move through all of that? It always starts with self. Someone may say to you, as you mentioned, you wouldn't and you end up to be no good. We can use that to make us good. We have a choice. You see, we that is the point. We have choice. We're not like don't have options. We have choice. And so whatever it is an individual say or whatever our experience in life may have been, we have the choice to take that experience and grow it, expand it, use it to make us more than what others may think or what we may also have thought of ourselves. Or we have a choice to use that experience to denigrate us, to make us less. And even when we denigrate ourselves, we still can come out again and expand. In other words, we learn something about ourselves. No way can do we have to stay at the same place all the time. So let me make it a little clearer now, because you asked me how.
Yeah.
By
Mm-hmm.
commanding yourself, by saying to yourself, this is what I choose. I appreciate that you may see me next to no good, or I appreciate that I have not had all the experiences in life. I appreciate that I didn't have a degree or I didn't go to school, but I still choose this. I appreciate all of those what some individuals may see as lack, but they are not lack. I appreciate all of those what may be perceived as lack of experience, or in other words, make an individual feel that they don't have the required talent, not experience, talent. And so because they see that they don't have the required talent, they cannot go ahead to have their dreams. So I would like to say that despite all of that you may see within yourself, or the mind might tell you, which is not correct, is to appreciate it, not to fight it. Appreciate, oh, this is, oh, okay. Appreciate the fact that I'm not seeing myself as suitable. However, this is where the self comes in. The self will now come in and say, I am in charge. I am in command. However, I am choosing this millionaire. I'm choosing to become this teacher. I'm choosing to become this writer, despite all that may have happened that my mind will tell me would not help me to get there. So I, the self that I'm talking about, the super self, will come in and command the experience, command me, or command itself, rather, command, how can I put it? Take command and say, despite all of that, this is what I choose. And that is where the choice comes in. So the how is to make a choice. And in making the choice, it will take us in the areas, or it will bring rather opportunities for us to get to what we really want in our hearts. And that is how. There are tools that we can use, every day we can um, tell ourselves that we look in the mirror, appreciate yourself. Also, know that you are in command. That's the how. You are in command. We're the ones that making the choices. I also am aware that some individuals can write goals out and saying, this is what they want every day. They can write goals out as well. That is okay. I accept that. That is also a way that individuals can do too. I accept that. But I'm talking about the spirit. I'm talking about the self. I'm talking about way, past that. And that is for us to take command. So this self that we've been talking about, the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual, come as one, and they command that this is what we're choosing, despite all that would have happened, despite all the disbelief, despite all the discouragements, and despite everything. This is what we are choosing. And that is the way how we can have what we want, no matter what our experience, because we can use all of those experiences to help us to get to where we want. All of those
Got
mind
you.
concepts,
Got
all of
what I
those
love.
beliefs.
Yeah, what I love about what you're saying is that people have to come to that point where they recognize that they must take ownership over their physical and asset and their spiritual asset. They must take ownership and command over the command center.
Yeah.
Um, I love it. And I know that you can go much deeper into all of this. And I do believe that, what you're about to do is so, so, so important because I know for a fact that when people lack a sense of self, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, control over their destiny, they tend to just pivot through life, not achieving the great things that they want to accomplish because their expectations are significantly off balance. But what I've learned is that when once you reach that point to start taking ownership over your sense of self, and you are now able to take empowered actions towards achieving the dreams and hopes and aspiration that you have for yourself, there is where something masterful happen. There is where the super self begins to amplify and to give voice and meaning and to life itself. So I know that you're onto something very significant. I know that every leader or aspiring leader should be a part of your program because this is about expand life mastery. I do believe that everyone who would have gone through some form of trauma should be part of your program because what I'm listening to, as I listen to you, what I'm also hearing is that it doesn't matter where you came from,
Mm.
it doesn't matter what you're going through, you have the power to expand. You have the power to take ownership over your life and mold it and shape it into your image and liking. I'm hearing all of that from what you're saying. So we will do this again very soon. Um, I know that you are now beginning to ramp up visibility for this brand, the Expand Life Mastery. We have a lot of work to do moving forward. And I just want to remind the viewers Joan is a Guyanese by birth, but she has been living in the UK for how long, Joan?
Since 1970.
My God, that's a lifetime. That's over. Oh my God, that's over 50 years. You see,
Yeah.
Jordan, I would want you to also tell us the formula for staying young. I mean, when you tell someone your age, they wouldn't believe you, you know. You're keeping young, you're vibrant. I don't know, in that new book that you're writing, a whole lot of what, you know, your lifestyle, you know, will be somewhat documented there. So, Joel, I want to say it's a great pleasure talking with you today. I know that you were a gem. I know that we are now beginning to scratch the surface for the Expand Life Mastery and what it can do to help the corporate community, what it can do to help person in trauma, what it can do to help, you know, leaders to transform, you know, some of their leadership techniques. Um, so I know
Can I
that
mention
we're now
something
expanded
quick?
into North. Go ahead, Joel.
Yes, I want to say as well that I know that a lot of people who have expanded and grow, they also have become
Yeah,
famous because that is part of the choice. But there is also a
yeah.
lot of people who have expanded and grow who have not chosen to be famous, and that is also to be noted. And I know that we have been speaking about self, to take to yourself, look at yourself, love yourself. Now, some individuals will say, why love yourself? What about other people? That they might judge that and say, it's selfish and so on, which is a way that many have been brought up to believe. However, why is it that you want someone to love you? You already know what you expect from them to love you. And when they don't do that, you don't feel good about it. But you don't do that to you. So the point is for you to love you first, appreciate you first, be kind to you first, be gentle to you first, be tender with yourself first. And in doing so, you are automatically will be doing the same to others because you will realize that when you do that to you, you are experiencing it. And you would want to experience the same experience all the time. And in your reaction with other or interaction with others, you will want to have that experience. So we cannot love outside. We have the love comes from inside out. I want to add that. And that is what the super self is about. Thank you.
Brilliant. Um, so I want you guys to connect with Joan. Um, you can do so through this broadcast. Um, Joan has a website, which is expandlifemastery.com. You can send her an email there. And I will also publish additional information so you can reach Joan and the Expand Life Mastery. So if you're the kind of individual that wants to know how to fall in love with you, to fall in love with yourself, and to expand from that position of strength, Joan is definitely a mastermind in this regard. She is now putting out a new book that really goes in depth into the importance of loving yourself. If you don't invest in finding you, loving you, expanding you, you're really not ready to love anyone else. All right. I know that Joan flows from this perspective. You want to invest in you. So when you invest in you, it's like you're always making your vessel full and overflowing so you can give more to those who are around you. And to invest in self-love is relevant, and it gives you happiness and joy and excitement and longevity, and we can go on with that list. I've worked with Joan a lot, so I'm quite familiar with her lingo. I'm also happy to say that Joan is now expanding, now from the UK into the US, and we are on the ground. Pitch Deck 101, 10x Brandon and Marketing LLC, and we are doing all of the logistics for Joan in terms of integrating horror operation into the US. So some documentations are going to be out next week, and perhaps next week we will do another interview with Joan, and she will have her certificate, her license to do business in the US. So when you see she has that big smile and she's holding up that certificate, it's part of what we are doing to really help Joan to expand her vision. From there, we're going to go through everything with the ITIN, the EIN, the entire process to ensure that Joan is properly set up in the United States and she's making impact. Joan, with that being said, is there any last word that you would want to share with your audience before we pull the curtain on today's program?
Okay, just to say that it's not something that is hard to do. We just start from where you are at. None of us are in any position where we could say that, oh no, we're too far away from self love. Self love starts right now because now is what we have. Forget about yesterday, forget about the future. Now, just appreciate you and love you, and you will find that it will help you to discover more and discover more. So, I appreciate you listening, and I hope to see and hear from people who are interested in knowing more. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
You're most welcome, and it's always a pleasure working with you. It's always a pleasure just listening to you on Money Finance stage. Um,
And I'm hot.
so I know he has been a very strong influence in your life as a Silicon Valley investor, a strong real estate investor. And as I talk with you, I know that some of him has rubbed off on you because I know that you are now expanding your vision also into some form of real estate investment. Or we also forget to mention that you spend many years in the financial services in the UK. All right, but perhaps in the next broadcast we'll touch a little bit on your experience in the financial industry in the UK for the 50 plus years that you have been living in the UK. All right, Joan, but I
Yes.
must say it has been a pleasure. Go ahead.
No, I agree. Yes, that's fine. And also a little bit about the book too as well. I appreciate that.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. In the next week, perhaps we'll do another interview and we go a little deeper into some of those areas. All right, John, pleasure talking with you today. And remember, the name to keep looking out for is Expand Life Mastery. If you're the individual and you're looking
Yeah.
for yourself, and believe me, we have millions of people across the world who are still searching for self, but there's no handbook that is there to help you to find yourself. Joan, through her life experience, she recognized that people are struggling with this, and her mission is to document her life experience, to do the research and to document those research and to bring that body of knowledge to you to ensure that you have that sense of self. That's what allows you to be anchored. You have that sense of purpose. What allows you to grow faster. You have that sense of direction. And here is where you're able to take full ownership and command over your life. So keep listening out, looking out for Expand Life Mastery. This brand is going to be across social media. So wherever you say, just tap on the like button, tap on the follow button, become a member of this community. I know John in the next broadcast she's going to be talking about a lot of incentives, that you guys can just come, join, be a part of the community, learn and grow, and perhaps many person might be able to access Jones' special package, perhaps at low cost or no cost. John, pleasure talking with you, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye
Gary.
bye.
Appreciate.
You're most welcome.
Bye.
All right, bye. Bye.
All right.